Hey everybody, it's Jork. Welcome back. I hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. Today I wanted to make this video, just get this out to those of you that are going to be going to Portugal, specifically the mainland. You're going to be flying into Porto, Lisbon, or Faro, the three main airports there. And I just wanted to let you know that if you're flying in or you're flying out, it's high tourist season. Portugal has become a very trendy and hot popular place for people to travel to in the summer. Either they do it solely in Portugal or they're adding on to, let's say, a trip to Spain or someplace else in Europe. And I wanted to put this up here because I've made some videos about it recently, but it's often, if you are flying in and you're not flying from another European country, you're flying outside of Europe into Portugal, to Porto, Lisbon, or Faro, and you've got to go through Immigration and Customs Hall there, passport control. Two things I want you to think about. First, if you have an electronic passport, so there's usually a symbol on the front of the passport, means that you have an electronic passport, trying to go through the e-gates, as they're called, or electronic gates. So that means that you just queue up, you wait for one of these machines, you put your passport in. Once it identifies the passport, then you have to take your glasses off if you have them, like me, or hat. They snap a photo of you, or they take a photo, and then once you're done, the gates open, and then you have an officer that will stamp the passport, and away you go into Portugal. Or you have the old-fashioned where you wait in the long queues, the little snaking along, and either one of those can take a long time to get into Portugal. It can take 3 to 4 hours in some cases in Lisbon. It can take a couple of hours in Faro and Porto, which are smaller airports, but often there aren't enough people staffed. They just take time off. They don't do a good job of staffing in the high tourist season. So I would recommend doing the e-gates whenever possible because it will generally be faster. Not always though, but generally, provided your passport works. Sometimes even with an e-passport, they still won't show up or it won't work for some reason. Then you have to get in a longer line. But where I'm also going with this is when you're leaving Portugal and you're done with the trip and you're going to be leaving and you're not going to another EU country, you're leaving internationally outside of the EU, so you have to kind of go through passport control again. If you came in using the e-gates, you can leave using the e-gates. If you came in and your passport didn't work at the e-gate, and you came in and used the long line, the regular line to get in, you can't use the e-gate to leave. You have to go through the long line to get the passport stamped, the exit stamp. What's happening here is Portugal's updated or tried to update their systems, but it's been a mess. So it's hundreds of people, dozens of being diplomatic, hundreds of people are missing their flights, their connecting flight when they come into Portugal, not just Lisbon, but Porto or Faro. They're missing their connecting flights to somewhere else because it's taking so long to get into Portugal, getting through passport control. Or they're missing their flight out of Portugal because it's taken so long. So the long and the short of this is, if you are planning a flight into Portugal and it's a connection somewhere else, so your final destination is not Portugal, I would want to have at least a 3 to 4 hour window, at least, between connecting flights. That just gives you enough time to make sure that you're going to get through things okay, and there's less chance of being an issue. I can't say that in 4 hours of time you'll definitely get through and there won't be an issue, because there are people that have waited 4 hours and missed their flight. But also on the back end, when you're leaving Portugal and you're trying to get to your next destination or your home and it's not in the EU, so again, you have to go through passport control, I would really advise that you get to the airport 3 to 4 hours early. And you may go, that's ridiculous, that's a lot of time. Well, you'll be surprised. It'll only take you one time to go through Portugal passport control to realize that there aren't too many countries that you're ever going to go into or leave that have these types of lines in passport control. It just is, it's something that Portugal doesn't spend any money on. And also in the summertime, there's a lot of transportation strikes. So people take their holidays, or people will strike at these airports as well. So it's just, it begins your journey if you're getting into Portugal on a bad note, because it takes more time. So you plan for that and know that ahead of time. And then when you're leaving Portugal, just get to the airport way early, way early, to try to avoid any issues. So when you fly out, you're already past all of this stuff and you're at the gate ready to board your plane, and you don't miss your flight out. So I want to make sure that you are aware of this. Again, Portugal's a hot place to be. It's really trending with a ton of tourists, mostly in the summer, but sometimes now year-round. And getting in and out of the airports is just a pain. There's no way around it. And it's not like it just happened in the last year or two. It's been going on for years. Not many people talk about it, but I want you to be aware. Just can be a pain, so try to alleviate that pain by booking flights with a long layover if you're coming into Portugal, but your final destination somewhere else. And then again at the end here, when you're leaving Portugal, go to the airport a few hours ahead of time to give yourself plenty of time to get through passport control. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch the channel, and enjoy your travels.